Okay, so ready to dive in. Today we're tackling something that's, well, honestly, it's pretty important for everyone to understand. We're talking about diabetes
Yeah, definitely important.
and specifically those early warning signs that, sometimes we might brush off or not even realize are connected.
Right, exactly.
I got to say, going through all the research for this, some of this stuff was pretty surprising, even to me. I think a lot of people are going to be like, wait, seriously?
I bet. It's one of those things, right? It can be easy to overlook the early signs.
Absolutely. So we've got a lot to unpack, and thankfully, we've got an expert here to walk us through it all. Before we get into those warning signs, let's just back up for a sec. Can you give us that, like, Diabetes 101, the basics? What actually is diabetes?
Yeah, sure. So think about it this way. Your body, it needs fuel, right? Just like a car.
Right.
And that fuel comes from the food we eat,
Right.
specifically glucose.
Okay.
And insulin, which is a hormone our body makes, is kind of like the key.
The key.
Yeah, it unlocks your cells and lets that glucose in, gives them the energy they need to do their thing.
Gotcha.
Diabetes messes with that whole process.
Okay, so that's where things go wrong. I know there are different types of diabetes, right?
Yeah, you got it.
I always mix them up, so I feel like a little refresher would be helpful.
Definitely. So the main two types you hear about are type 1 and type 2.
Right.
Type 1, your immune system, it's like it gets confused and starts attacking the cells that actually make insulin. So your body can't produce enough of those keys anymore.
Oh, wow. So not enough keys.
Exactly. And then with type 2, it's a little different. It's more like your body becomes resistant to insulin.
Resistant.
Yeah, the keys are there, but they just don't work as well as they should. Or your body just doesn't make enough to keep up.
So either way, the glucose is having trouble getting where it needs to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's when those warning signs can start popping up.
Okay, so let's talk about those warning signs. Some of them in the research were like straight out of left field. I was like, wait, that's a sign of diabetes? For example, I remember reading about frequent urination. I'm thinking, come on, everyone pees a lot sometimes,
You'd think, right. But it's all about what's normal for you. It's not just about going a lot. It's about changes in how often you go.
Okay.
Think of it like this. With diabetes, that extra glucose in your blood has to go somewhere.
Right.
Your kidneys, they're working overtime trying to filter it out, sending it to your bladder. And here's the thing, that excess glucose, it actually pulls water along with it.
Oh, interesting.
So it's like, your body's trying to flush out that extra sugar any way it can.
So if you're like suddenly making a lot more trips to the bathroom than usual?
Could be a clue, yeah. Especially if you haven't been, like, chugging water all day.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
So changes in bathroom habits. What about thirst? I mean, everyone gets thirsty.
For sure, especially if it's hot out or you've been working out. But we're talking about that insatiable thirst. Like, no matter how much you drink, you just can't seem to quench it.
Yeah. Okay, I can see how that would be a red flag. It's like your body's constantly trying to catch up.
Exactly. It's trying to make up for all the fluid it's losing from, the frequent urination.
Right, right.
Right.
So we've got the bathroom stuff, the thirst. What else should people be aware of?
Well, this one can be a little more alarming to people, but unexplained weight loss.
Okay, yeah. I saw that in the research too.
But I'm not talking about, like, intentionally losing weight,
Right, right.
If you're suddenly dropping pounds, haven't changed your diet or exercise routine.
That's when it's like, something's up.
Exactly. Could be a sign that your body's not using glucose for energy the way it should. So it starts breaking down muscle and fat for fuel instead. And, well, that leads to weight loss.
Wow. See, that's what I mean about some of the stuff being surprising. You wouldn't necessarily think, oh, weight loss, diabetes, but it's all connected.
Yeah, it is. And that's why I think understanding these connections is so important.
Absolutely. So what else is on the list?
Another symptom that actually makes a lot of sense when you think about it is increased hunger.
Okay.
If your cells aren't getting the glucose they need, they're basically starving.
Right.
So you feel hungry even if you just ate.
So you could be eating plenty, but your body's still like, nope, not enough.
Exactly, because it's not getting the right kind of fuel.
Wow. This is all making a lot more sense now, the connections between all these things. What about things like, feeling more tired than usual? Or like when your vision gets blurry? Are those things we should be paying attention to too?
Oh, absolutely. Fatigue, it's a really common symptom, especially early on. Again, it goes back to that energy issue.
Right. The cells aren't getting what they need.
Right. So your body just feels drained. And the blurry vision, that can happen when high blood sugar starts affecting those tiny blood vessels in your eyes. It's usually temporary,
But it's a sign that something's not right.
Exactly. And it can become a bigger problem if the diabetes isn't managed.
Okay, so it's not just the obvious stuff. It's those little sneaky signs, too.
Yeah.
It really makes you realize, like you said, how important it is to listen to your body.
Couldn't agree more. And I think it's important to say this too. Just because you experience one or two of these things doesn't automatically mean you have diabetes. It's about the big picture.
Right, it's not like a checklist where if you have 3 out of 5, then boom, you've got it.
Right, exactly. It's about the combination of symptoms and any, big changes from what's normal for you.
Okay, that's good to know. So let's say someone's listening to this and they're like, okay, some of this stuff is ringing a bell. What's the next step?
Well, first of all, don't panic, but also don't ignore it. The most important thing is to talk to your doctor.
Right, get it checked out.
Yep. They can run some simple tests, get a clear picture of what's going on. There's really no need to, try to self-diagnose or try to figure it all out on your own.
Makes sense. Because even though the research we looked at talks about how manageable diabetes can be, especially if it's caught early, I imagine it's still a scary diagnosis to get.
Oh, for sure. Any health diagnosis can be scary, absolutely. But I think knowledge is power. Understanding the condition, the warning signs, all of that, it helps you take control.
Yeah, it takes away some of that fear of the unknown.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's do a super quick recap for everyone. We've learned that diabetes affects how your body uses glucose for energy, and there are a bunch of warning signs to watch out for. Some of them are more obvious, like going to the bathroom more often or being super thirsty, while others are a little more subtle, like unexplained weight loss, feeling extra hungry, tired, or even having blurry vision.
And if you're experiencing any of that, any combination of those things, even if you're not sure, talk to your doctor. It's always better to be safe than sorry. Early detection makes a huge difference.
Couldn't agree more. Big takeaway today.
Yeah.
Listen to your body. Don't brush off those little changes, those little hints it might be giving you. Now that you've got all this knowledge, what small changes can you make today to prioritize your health? Or maybe even start a conversation with a loved one who you think might be at risk. We'll leave you with that to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.